Hello everyone and welcome to DJSCE podcast season 2 episode 2. I am your host Anish Shetty, the co-chairperson of ECEL, and today we have with us Mr. Satyendra Gupta, founder and CEO of Neoperk Technologies.
So, interesting fact, like Tesla makes a lot of profit through these carbon credits, right? Because it's a...
Do you think building connections and interacting with people is really important while you're building or creating your own startup?
I think networking is always good, especially in professional networks, right? It's very much essential actually.
What are the family and friends like? What are the opinions about this?
And that's a big tip, right? Friends के साथ startup चालू करना है, so there are like some things you need to be very clear about.
Is it necessary to build this habit right from the college days or?
See, I don't like to regret anything.
Boss at your own startup comes at its own cost, I guess.
You need to have one leader, right, who takes the call. अगर सब लोग मिलके decision लोगे ना, it kills the value of startup of like fast decision making, fast execution. I won't be able to. इतने पूरा वापस से मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगा.
Hello everyone and welcome to DJSCE podcast season 2 episode 2. I am your host Anish Shetty, the co-chairperson of ECEL, and today we have with us Mr. Satyendra Gupta, founder and CEO of Neoperk Technologies, and he from the ELEX batch 2020. So hello sir, great to have you here. Could you give an introduction about yourself from the horse's mouth itself?
Sure. Hello all, I'm Satyendra. I'm founder of Neoperk. I'm a DJ alum from like electronics batch 2020. Firstly, it's great to be back here and especially interacting with the ECEL, right? Because our startup journey started right here, like from DJ Sangvi itself. Just to give some intro about myself, right? I come from Bania family, right? Like my father is a metal ball pen manufacturer.
So that business is in the genes, you could say.
I can say so, right? Uh, but like why engineering, right?
Yeah, why?
Because like I just got good marks in like 11th and 12th. I was actually preparing for IITs, right? But I couldn't make it. And I told my parents that I wanted to know, either I will go for any of the top 5 colleges in Mumbai or otherwise I'll like take a drop here and again prepare for IIT, right? But luckily I got in DJ. It was in the final list, I got DJ in the 4th list and it was electronics and I took it up, right? I remember in the first year, right, I was very chill, right? I was just relaxing, right? Just enjoying the life at DJ. Second year was also very much similar. But third year, right, that career clock started ticking, right? Like, oh, you have to add something to your resume. So that is when I joined DJ's Robocon, like, which was the official robotics team of the college. And at the same time, I also participated in IIC DC. It's called India Innovation Challenge Design Contest. It's a hardware innovation competition by Texas Instruments and NSRCL IIM Bangalore. So in the third year, I participated in both these competitions simultaneously. Wanted to make up for the first 2 years. So unfortunately, like for the Robocon, right, we did made it to the finals. We went to IIT Delhi. Like our robot did walk. We were making a quadrup bot. It did walk for like few minutes. We did really well, but we couldn't like win the competition. It was quite a heartbreak. Then on the other side, right, IIC DC, like we had a very good team, right? It was like 5 friends from the EX electronics batch. And we were like backbenchers, right? We all were like good in studies, right? But we always wanted to do something. And that's why like we thought like, let's apply to IIC DC, right? Let's see what will happen. Mind you, like nobody from our college had, I think, even crossed the quarterfinals stage in IICDC before that, right? But and like the problem statement, right? I remember while sitting here in one of the labs, right? We were just searching for different problem statements, and like Pawan Borasa was one of our mentors. So I think the first idea was something in renewable energy related to perpetual energy, and we took it to Pawan sir. He was like, "ये idea नहीं चलेगा, कुछ और लेकर आओ अच्छा." So like we went back to the like desk, right? I was just thinking like, what else can we do? I looked at the ground and I thought, can we put some sensors to the ground, right, to the farms, and tell like what is there, what is present and what is not present, and based on that give recommendations to the farmers, fertilizer recommendations to the farmers. It was just a random idea. And at the same time I started googling, right, how is soil testing being done through in India, right, and came across the soil health card scheme, under which like Modi ji or the government had the vision to give soil health cards to each and every farmer in the country. So with that, the idea came, can we make soil testing much more easier, efficient through sensors, right? So we took this idea, went to Pawan sir. He immediately liked the idea. right? And with that, we applied for IIC DC. So the IIC DC competition actually goes on for almost a year. Like we put our honest efforts, a lot of learnings, right? I think we went through like we reached the quarterfinals. We even got selected for the semifinals, and finally it was the finals in NSRCL IIM Bangalore. I remember the presentation didn't go really well, right? And because like nobody from our college, or I don't think many of people, right, many of the students have achieved this stage, right? So you're not hopeful of winning it. But yeah, like as it turned out, right, when they started announcing the winners, right, the first name which came out of right was Shri Vile Parle Kelvani Mandal Dwarkadas Ji Sangvi College of Engineering. And like we won that competition. At that time, our team was called Prithvi, right? You will still have that check right outside the third floor seminar hall. So we won that competition. What we won was a 20 lakh grant. It was a opportunity to start our own startup, right? They will invest in that startup, right, with this idea. So with that, Neoperk was actually formed, right? The idea remained the same, right? Can we make large scale soil testing extremely easy, reliable, and efficient using technology? So that's the introduction about me as well as the startup.
Being the first one from our college to win, actually, like it's a new experience and also a lot to learn for us too. Like, how was the experience over there at IIM Bangalore? Because we at the large scale we are not that big of a college, and that's true. Because and how was the experience there? What other teams did you compete with? Like, how was it?
I think DJ has its own luxuries, I will say,
Yeah.
right? Let me address that first, right? Some of the advantages, I know, like we are being based out of Bombay. It's a single building college, right? But the people here, right? Like my batchmates, right? They were always there, not just during the competition, but even during the like right now, right? It's been almost 5 years of Neoperk, but we still have this DJ ELX group, right? When the recent news of we getting selected for the WTF Fund got out, right, everyone was like just messaging me. And we have a lot of friends, right, who still continue to support us, right? We have a lot of team members, like who are freshers, right, fresh out of college. So I have a lot of classmates from DJ who help them out, right? So I think the best part about DJ is the people, right, the students, the alum that we are, right? Coming back to your question, right, the difference between DJ versus IIM Bangalore, it was a very different experience, right? Firstly, it's a management college, right? So I remember the first day we went to IIM Bangalore, we went to NSRCL, right? We got a chance to meet a lot of mentors, right? A lot of business folks. They are like some of them were professors who used to teach like proper like MBA students, right? One of the mentors asked us, right, like, what are you doing? And we said we are into soil testing. And the next question he asked, right, whom are you doing it for? Like we said, farmers. The third question is, have you asked a farmer whether he will do soil testing? You're like completely blank, right? Because coming from Mumbai, right, we didn't have much exposure to this field of agriculture which we had chosen, right? So, like, these are some of the questions, right, which get asked by people around there. Like, we're just surrounded by such great people in a prime college like IMB, right, which makes you think, right, which makes you ask questions. So that was one. Secondly, like we were actually working out of NSRCL, which is the incubation center of IIM Bangalore. So there were a lot of startups, right? There, most of them like came from like engineering background. So it was always good to interact with them, learn from their experience. So these are few things, right? Which is obviously a plus point when you work out of an incubation center in a prime college like I am.
Environment matters a lot.
Absolutely.
So you told about WTF Fund. Like, could you share more about that?
So it's an interesting journey. Like I think when Nikhil Kamath like launched this fund, right? I think it was during this podcast with the Zepto brothers, right? When he got inspired, though, oh yes, this young people, right? They can do extraordinary things, and he started this WTF fund. And when this came out, right? A lot of my friends forwarded this. Oh, you should apply for this, Satyendra. And I did. I applied for the first cohort actually, right? We couldn't make it. So we reached the final stage. We had the final interview, but we didn't make it, right? And sorry about that. Yeah, we didn't make it the final stage. But the WTF Fund team was very kind enough to like give us feedback, right? They were very clear, like what we were lacking at that time. Like their feedback was like your product is sound, your business is probably on track, but we need more proof. And third is like just the bar for agri-tech is a little higher, right? So that actually like showed us like what we are lagging, what we need to focus on. I think after that we were very much focused on like refining our business model, right? Like we just put our heads down, like focused on like just execution, right? Then when the second cohort came, right, I was actually not planning to apply for it. I was having like second thoughts, but this one friend, Anaga, she's also a startup founder. In fact, she got in the cohort one, right? She pushed me, like she suggested like apply it, right? Why not, right? It's an opportunity, right? And I applied for it, right? Again, like went to the like final interview round, right? Again, didn't have much hopes, right, of winning it. But Suchet from the WTF team just WhatsApped me one day, right? Hey, just check out the mail, right? And we got the news that we have been WTF funded. So yeah, it was a great experience. Actually, I just came back from Bangalore yesterday, so it was a good experience. It was great meeting Nikhil for the first time in like person. Like I'm a huge Zerodha fan. Like I think in our weekly team meetings, right? Uh, Almost more often than not, I'll mention Zerodha, right? I love the way they execute, how they have built a customer first product, how they have built a lean product team, right? Lean technology team, right? I'm just a big fan of it. So it was great to meet Nikhil in person and like, yeah, just
How is he like in person? Is he the same like the way you look at him in podcasts and all?
absolutely. He's very candid, like very down to earth. Like I have a picture with him, like the group picture, right, where he was standing right at the end, like similar to Dhoni style, right? He does, like the WTF team was asking him to come to the middle, but he was like, no, no, I don't like to be for that in the middle. Yeah, he was standing on the like side. Yeah, he's very down to earth, very humble.
You mentioned a lot of people in your journey, like they helped you even in DJ and after. So, do you think building connections and interacting with people is really important while you're building or creating your own startup? What is your opinion on that?
That is a must-have. Like, to be very frank, I myself am an introvert. I consider myself an introvert. Right? In college, we used to hardly network beyond our class as well, right? Or even beyond our batch, right? But again, back to IMB days, right? I remember there was some cohort which had come from Gujarat. Okay, some incubation managers or so on, right, had come to IIM Bangalore, right? So NSRCL team like asked us to just go and network with them, and we were a team of five at that time, right? Five students from DJ. So we used to always stand together, right? Let network among ourselves. But our manager at NSRCL, she used to come to us and she's like, no talking to each other, go talk to random people. Right. So like and like we didn't know how to do networking, right? So she said, like, just go ask about what is your startup about, right? What do you do, right? And like we could start ourselves, right? What we are doing, right? What are we into? The good thing about those events were they're called networking sessions, right? So it's okay to go and talk to random people, like share about your journey. So that was a good experience, right? So why is networking important, right? You never know whom you might meet, right? Who can help you at some point, or probably you can help him, right, at certain stage, right? It's always good to like meet with people, right? So I think networking is very much essential. As students, we can be a little shy, right? But always like just share your thoughts, share your opinions, what you're doing, right? If you are interested in some topic, I think networking is always good, especially in professional networks, right? It's very much essential actually.
Is it necessary to build this habit right from the college days or अपने आप आ जाएगा बाद में?
Uh, Depends. Just say you guys are part of different committees, right? Organizations, or college teams, right? So I think in this you will have to like. I think somebody from your team must have reached out to me. That is as well networking, right? So I think it will automatically come, right? One big suggestion I will have is just be part of this extracurricular activities. Don't be limited to just your classrooms and like curriculum, right? Just go out, like go for internships, right? Probably try something of your own, right? Like, you know, why Nikhil started this WTF fund, right? Funding people under 25. Because when we are young, right? When we are students, right? Our risk taking capacity is very high, right? We don't have any responsibilities. We can be ambitious. We can be audacious, right? We can go for the moon, right? So it has its own like downside as well. Yeah, right. But no better time to fail, right? Even if you fail, you can just go and take up a job or like go for your masters or anything, right?
Let's do that.
So yeah,
So let's come to Neoperk. Tell us everything. What is Neoperk?
So Neoperk, so what is Neoperk? It itself is changing. It itself is evolving. We started as a soil testing company, right? During the early days, right? We first decided to like identify whether soil testing makes sense, right? Will a farmer do soil testing, and will he pay for it? Because at the end of the day, we are trying to build a business, right? So the initial, I think, we incorporated Neoperk in 2019 after winning IIC DC. The first 3 months we were sitting out of IIM Bangalore. We used to go around Bangalore, right? The good thing about Bangalore is you have a lot of farms near and around. So we used to go around, like speak with farmers. There was a lot of language barrier because I don't know Kannada, but still, like we could see it in their expressions, right? I remember one of the farmer, he was telling me there's a lab, right, which is almost 30 kilometers away, right? And he doesn't has time to give his soil sample there. And even if he give it, right, he doesn't knows when will the result come. Like he can't wait for it to to follow those soil test based recommendations and do it, right. It's better to just follow his own practices, right. So we identified all these gaps in the soil testing ecosystem, and we started with a service, right. Our product was there. Like what actually essentially what we do at Neoperk is we have developed this spectral device. We call it Neo Soil Spectral Device, which works on the principle of NIR spectroscopy and machine learning models. So you can test a soil sample or any powdered sample without using any chemical reagents, and we can predict the chemical properties, right. What is in soil for agricultural purposes, we measure soil pH, organic carbon, nutrients, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, as well as micronutrients. So we are able to measure this without using any chemicals, any water. So that is our innovation, that is our IP, right. But from a farmer's perspective, what he wants is soil testing, right. He just needs soil testing on time, closer to him, right. So we started with the service, right. We ourselves used to go and give soil testing services to the farmers. Um, uh, got a ton of learnings from that. After that, we realized to scale it faster, right. We needed large number of farmers. And for that, we actually shifted to a B2B model. So currently, we work with large B2B organizations such as Dehat, Plantix, Salam Kisan, like McCain Foods is another. So we partner up with these B2B organizations which are working with large number of farmers and give them soil testing solutions, right? Like we call it an end-to-end soil testing solution. So this is what we offer to our B2B partners. This is our current offering, but having said that, like Neoperk doesn't want to stop here, right? We'll be adding more products, more solutions, right, which solve real world problems very soon. At Neoperk.
The issue that is selected is actually quite niche, and nowadays what we see in colleges, people are building SaaS apps with AI. That's all they're doing, right? We need to bring out a social change in something, and what you did at your time takes guts, of course, because what everyone is running after is job security. We are trying to get internships by third year and secure our job. Like, what went through your mind, like, ये करूँ कि नहीं, कैसे, मतलब what are your family and friends like? What are the opinions about this?
Personally, I don't think we should be so hard, right, on ourselves, on students, right? Because building anything is hard, right? I'll tell you, like just to update our website, right, or just to build a website itself, takes a lot of time and effort, right? So building anything is hard. So it's okay if you are building a SaaS app or anything, right? But what I have learned, right, this problem statement we took, it was like a luck by chance, right? But there was one more reason, right? Uh, I shouldn't be saying this, but one of the reasons why we took this problem statement was we thought we'll get some brownie points for it, right? If you solve a social problem, a more impact driven problem, right? Right. That's why we chose this problem. But the good thing about such problem statements is these are solving real problems, right? Right. You don't have to dig deeper to know, right? Like the soil health is degrading, right? We need to do something about it, right? It's a problem which actually is there, right? So the time to understand if such a problem exists or not exists, that gets eliminated if you pick a social impact problem, right? So that's a positive, right? It's okay if you're building a SaaS app, right? But try to figure out what is the problem that you're trying to solve, right? Because product always comes second, right? First is the problem or the pain point that you are trying to solve for your user, right?
In our college, of course, there are a lot of hackathons happening, and we see the winners, they make the project and it stays in the GitHub forever. You made something and you carried on with it, which deserves it applause. That's what I feel.
One reason for that, see, I have been in your place, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have started my startup if we didn't get that funding from NSRCL and IIM Bangalore. Honestly, we didn't had any thoughts of like taking this to a startup, right? So I think funding becomes a big motivation or factor, right? And like, so this is one message to all the students, right, who are like doing great projects, right? If you want to like take this forward, right? First thing is obviously you should have that like zeal, or you want to do this, right? Which can come later as well, right? Sometimes we call it passion, right? It can come later as well, right? But how to get funding, right? Currently, the Indian startup ecosystem has evolved a lot, right? There are plenty of funding opportunities, right? Don't go for those VC funding or private investment. Like there are a ton of grant opportunities. This WTF Fund itself is a 20 lakh grant for people under 25. You will most likely be a student under 25, right? So if you have an idea, you have built a project, you have built an MVP, a minimum viable product, right? Apply for these grants, right? Like there are tons of opportunities, right? Try to get some money, right, which keeps you motivated, right, which funds your like further development, right? Show it to your customers, right? I think that is the right way to take it forward, right? Don't just stop there, right? Do apply for these competitions if you need any help, right? I think I will be happy to share some opportunities, right, which are out there. So there's a lot of funding available, right? If you just have that thing to like start something of your
करने की इच्छा हो तो कुछ भी हो जाएगी.
सही बात.
Yes, and you mentioned ML and IoT. Like, what future do you see in this field? About, like, you amalgamated with hardware, which is something we rarely see. So, like, what future do you see of ML and IoT in something of your field?
So I think it is going to like only pick up from here, right? Like I have some friends in US, right, who do tell me that AI and ML is just booming, while other sectors are like there's a recession type of situation there, but AI and ML are still booming, right? So I think there's a lot of potential there, but I think AI, ML, or software on its own, right? See, I am a hardware guy, right? So on its own might not be able to solve like all the problems, right? You need hardware, you need a user understanding, right? Who's going to use it? Like, how does it solve the problem, right? So I think you need to combine all of it. And this is where I think how Neoperk differentiates itself, right? We are not just a AIML company, right? We use hardware, we use the understanding of the ground level realities and combine it with AI and ML, right? To give a end-to-end solution to the our customers and end users. Right. So I think while AI and ML is only going to grow from here, it needs to be combined with hardware. It needs to be it needs to be combined with user understanding, the problem understanding, and build solutions on top of it. Right.
So, nothing depends on one thing only. Like, there are several factors contributing to making something great.
Absolutely.
Neoperk is currently in 3 states: Maharashtra, Gujarat, and Karnataka. So, how did you scale?
So I would say like we are like scaling now, right? The initial 3 to 4 years we were very focused. Actually, what happened in 2020, COVID came, right? We had to return back to our homes in Mumbai, right? It was a good thing in a way, right? Because like in Karnataka, we were struggling with the language barrier, right? So when we came to Mumbai, right? I can speak in Hindi, Marathi, English, right? So I could speak with farmers on calls itself, right? So we started talking to hundreds of farmers. We were very early stage there. We were still identifying the problem, right? And how do we build the solution? So we started talking to farmers across Maharashtra. We thought like let's focus here, right? Because in agriculture, one more aspect is we need to be physically present, right? Because hardware is involved, right? You need to take it to the ground, right? We need to do soil testing there in front of the farmer, right? So like intentionally, we identified a boundary. Let's focus on Maharashtra, right, where we have like we can speak with farmers, we can take our hardware there. Even during COVID, like we were lucky that agricultural activities were still on. Yeah. So initially, I think 3 years we focused solely on Maharashtra. Even today, right, 80% of the like soil testing that we have done, right, it is done in Maharashtra. Now, in order to expand to other states or other geographies, right, one key criteria that we have set is we need a strong partner, right? Like for example, we entered into Sri Lanka July 2024, right? We only did so because like there was a partner called Sense Agro, which also works with like a lot of farmers, right? So like the problem which I initially focused on, this problem can change from geography to geography, especially in agriculture, right? Like a lot of things change, like culture changes, right? Habits change, right? So the problem itself can change, right? In different geographies. So that is why when expanding in different geographies, we look for partners who already have that problem understanding.
Experience.
Yeah. that this is what is required and this is how it can be delivered, because we have a solution in place. We have understanding of our local geography, but to take it to other geography, we need those strong partners, right? So like as we are expanding to other states, we have partners, right, who like a solution, who understand the problem what is there, and we are just collaborating with them to take a solution there.
So I would say a global reach is possible for Neoperk in the coming years.
Yes. So now we have opened up, right? We are open to even global partners, right? Like some of our partners do want to take us to Cambodia, Thailand, Southeast Asia might be the first, overseas geography. But again, right, we need strong partners who have a good understanding of on-ground realities, right? And see how does our solution fits the problem, right? And then only we'll expand to global geography. Otherwise, we are open. Yeah.
Like working in a startup takes a lot of job. What keeps you going? What is your mantra to wake up every day and like try things?
Yeah, it's a good question actually, right? The initial first year, right? When we got selected for this IIC DC, the initial thought was, oh, we have got funding and support for 1 year, right? Let's build something in an year, right? Get funding in the second year and exit in the third year. That was our plan, right? As a typical student entrepreneur, right? But as we started building, right, we got to know the reality that it takes a minimum of like 3 to 5 years for a startup to even achieve something or like get to something, right? Uh, Yep. So the first year, like we were just motivated. Oh, we have funding, right? We have to work on something, right? So the first year went well. The second year, right, because we got understanding of the problems, right? Oh, these are the problems, and this is how it needs to be solved. So the second year, we focus on building the solutions, right? But when it came third year, right, like results were still a little hard to get by, right? That is when those second thoughts started coming in, right? Oh, should we quit this? Should we like move on, take a job or something like that, right? Uh, I think at that time I remember like some of our our first founder left in the third year, right? So we also started having second thoughts. Should we pivot, right? Should we take up another problem, right? Like one of the co-founders suggested, should we move to a little less tech heavy problem, or probably move to another sector other than agriculture? When I myself went back to the drawing board, right, I was thinking of other ideas. Like three things came up in my mind, right? One was what I do want to do, right? First was like technology, like being an engineer, I want to like build a tech based solution, right? Second was scale, right? Like again, being ambitious, right? We want to build something which is scalable, right? Something like very big, right? But the third thing which came to my mind was impact, right? Like working in agriculture, I understand, I could clearly see what impact our solution directly has on ground, on the food and agri ecosystem, right? So impact was a very key third pillar, right? So for me personally, it's a combination of all these three, right? Only if what we do at Neoperk solves for all these three, like that is what motivates me to do continue doing, right? Even tomorrow, if we like do something else, right, it should like fulfill all these three, right? It should have some tech in it. It should be a scalable solution, and it should have an impact, right? So this is what drives me personally. But for somebody who's like starting something of their own, I think don't worry about it initially, right? It takes time, right, for even for you to understand what you like to do, right? And just start, right? And I think you need some money and motivation to do that. Yeah.
So it's sad to say you take pride in your work, right? Because it's bringing out a change and impacts. Did you ever have any second thoughts while building कि छोड़ दो अभी नहीं कर रहा है ऐसा कुछ?
हर रोज आते हैं मतलब सी startup journey is like it's full of ups and downs, right? Wherever there's a down, right? Like take WTF Fund, right? Cohort 1, we got rejected. We didn't get selected, right? So uh, it wasn't purely because of that rejection, but like whenever there's a down cycle, right? Things are not working out. You feel like, should we just pause this, right? Should I take up a job? Should I do something else, right? Like one thing which also keeps me going is, I know if I stop this now and think of like probably trying this out somewhere like 5 years down the line, probably early 30s or late 20s, I know it's going to be extremely hard, right? I won't be able to इतने पूरा वापस से मैं नहीं कर पाऊंगा. So that is one thing. And second is like, even if you want to do a job, right? Doing a job is also not easy, right? मतलब ठीक है, मतलब like you might have some work life balance, but you still have to like put the hard yards, right? 5 days a week or 6 days a week, right? So I think nothing is hard in life, right? So it's just up to like, if you enjoy what you're doing, right? Just keep doing it.
But being a boss at your own startup comes at its own cost, I guess.
I wouldn't say so. See, being a startup founder is not about being a boss at all, right? I'll tell you, like when we started, like as co-founders, right? There were some ego issues as well. Like we all were startup, we all were students, right? We lacked the sense of
If I'm not wrong, you all are friends, right?
we were friends as well.
But दोस्तों के बीच तो
अलग लेवल का दैट्स अ बिग टिप राइट फ्रेंड्स के साथ स्टार्टअप चालू करना है सो देयर आर लाइक सम थिंग्स यू नीड टू बी वेरी क्लियर अबाउट लाइक yeah, like one mentor told us, right? Startups cannot be run by democracy, right? It has to be run by dictatorship, at least in early days, right? You need to have one leader, right? Who takes the call. अगर सब लोग मिलके decision लोगे ना, it kills the value of startup of like fast decision making, fast execution, and आपको सबका approval अगर लेना है तो.
great advice, guys. Actually, great line.
So just be even if you're starting it with friends, right? You need to have an hierarchy in place, right? It's not about being boss. It's about just like who understands what better and who should be the final decision maker, right? And who takes that responsibility. It's about taking responsibility, right? So yeah, I think it's not about being boss. It's about taking responsibility, taking ownership, right?
So the right decision is what is right for the startup in that, not one personally feels.
Yeah, I think it will depend on a lot of things. There will be external factors, internal factors. So I think like as we grow in life, right, we realize that there's not always black and white in life. There are a lot of shades of gray, right? So I think that you'll learn once you start your own startup. Yeah.
If you were to go back and change something right from first year or somewhere, what is one thing that you would like to switch or something like that? Anything in mind?
See, I don't like to regret anything. But one thing is, so I got a lot of advice very much ahead of time, right? Like it's thanks to like all the opportunities that I got, right? Sometimes I feel I'm a bit adamant, right? It's a good thing, right? As well as bad thing, right? Good thing that I know like I'm right. But sometimes like when I'm getting a right advice, but I still feel I'm right. I tend to like ignore it, right? And on the other side, right? Being students, right? We many times like considered, oh, this is an experienced person who's giving an advice. We should just go ahead and follow it, right? So never take advices, right? Just like that, right? You need to understand as a startup founder or as an individual as well, right? Even if somebody is giving you an advice, right? They are giving it from their perspective, right? You are the only person who has the full spectrum of knowledge, right? What is happening, why is happening, right? So if you're taking that advice and implementing it, comes at your own responsibility, right? So just be mindful of that. I think we have done a lot of mistakes. We have taken some advices just like that. On the other side, I've not taken some advice very seriously. Yeah, but I think no regrets at all, right? I think everything happens on time at its time. Yeah.
जो हुआ अच्छा हुआ. We also saw a case study section on the Neoperk website. Could you tell something about it?
So like about our work, right? I think I'll share one very interesting case study, right? This was a project we did in Anekal. It is like south of Bangalore, where we worked with like it was a second project in this geography, right? Like first was for tomato farmers, the second was for cabbage farmers. So there was this farmer called Madhu. He's actually he had a distant MBA degree as well, right? He got into like farming. He was growing cabbages. So previously he had tried growing cabbage 3 times but could never make a profit, right? He was like putting, I guess, around 4 bags of DAP, right? And like the cabbage very often gets infested by pest attacks, right? But after we did soil testing, we realized it doesn't require that much fertilizers. I think we recommended only 2 bags of DAP and some other forms of fertilizers. Overall, it reduced his fertilizer or input cost by 20%. But the output, right, he was still able to get similar or even better quality yields. He got a better market rates. There were much lesser pest infestations, right? Again, which further reduced his cost. Overall, he was able to make a profit of 50,000 rupees per acre, right? Just by doing soil testing, right? So it's actually these stories like this, right, which also keep us motivated, right? Like seeing the impact like our work has. Yeah.
Uh, so like how do we get like this business mainly works in rural areas, right? So how do farmers know about Neoperk? Is it via word of mouth or do you approach them? How how does that work?
Like initially, like, it was very different, right? When we had no presence, right? How do we reach out to farmers? Again, like DJ Alum Network came into picture, right? So I had a friend called Ashuli. She was originally from Jalgaon. I think you guys will be also having a lot of friends from all across Maharashtra. So she was based out of Jalgaon. One of her uncles had a very good input shop. So like she gave us the initial contacts. In fact, a lot of validation, right? The farmer level validation which we did was his uncle connected us to the agriculture department of Jalgaon. He gave a lot of farmers who had done previously soil testing. We spoke with them. So that was one way. Second was in NSRCL, there were a lot of other agri-tech startups there. There were a lot of founders. So through them, we got a lot of like contacts of farmers, right? Yeah, I think these were the like basically utilize your network, right? And even if you don't have, right, just put it out there, right? Probably someone might read it, right? Just talk about it that this is what I need. I remember in NSR cell, we used to have this give and take board, right? Where you used to just post stickers that this is what I'm looking for, this is what I want, and this is what I can give, right? And if there's somebody interested, you can just reach out to them, right? So initially we used to reach out to farmers through our network. And like once our work started showing up, right? I think we also put a lot of our work on LinkedIn. Actually, LinkedIn is a big source. It's a very easy to use platform. So a lot of people see our work there, right? And they reach out to us. A third source is like word of mouth. Like, so because we work with these B2B partners, right? So they tend to give our references to other partners. So right now, these are our major channels.
You spent a major part of your startup in NSL at Bangalore, and you're currently in Mumbai. So, what's Mumbai Bangalore equation? How's that?
You're asking a controversial question.
Yeah, I know that's why I asked you.
So, like, first thing is Bangalore का weather बहुत अच्छा है. I think that's what every Bangalorean will tell you. I think Bangalore is a very happening place in terms of a startup. Okay, like every other day you will have some event which is happening, right? Great network. Like if you want to do network, just go to Bangalore, right? There will be some or other event happening. Just go to a cafe. You will find one or other a startup founder there. So in terms of ecosystem, right, Bangalore is amazing, good weather, right? What I love about Mumbai is the business mindset, right? Like this is a difference I find, right? It's a bit of like Mumbai Bangalore thing, right? Like in startups, like people are fine, right, making losses, right? Although they have a bigger vision there, right? But they're okay to make losses initially and like fund the startup through other ways. But in Mumbai, right, we have a more of a dhanda mindset, right? Like we are very cost efficient, right? Whenever I meet people here, right, my father himself is a businessman. So here we have a very different mindset. Another thing is the cost aspect. I think although now the rents in Bangalore are also shooting up, right? In Mumbai, the rents are very high, right? But otherwise, the travel and transportation is much easier. I think at the end, both are metro cities, right? Both have their own essence, both have their own flavors, right? Like one big message, right? If you want to start your own startup, don't think about these smaller things, right? Just start and
Yeah. What's some message that you'd like to give to students at DJ from your experiences, Christian?
one message, just go out there, yeah, build something meaningful, right? Or not even meaningful, like I'll give you an example. So in my, I think, second year, I built a LED cube for my mini project, right? Like I remember somebody asked me, I think my dad asked me, right, so इसका क्या कर सकते हैं? तो I started thinking, यार इसको दिवाली लाइट्स की तरह यूज कर सकते हैं मे बी. So just go ahead, start building, right? Start showing it to people. I think then you will start getting feedback, right? Like, oh, what can you do with this? Right? Probably then you will start thinking, right? Oh, probably I can do this with that, right? I think start building, start go talking to people, right? Just, yep, go out there.
Do you feel ki the background you have or what you learned in DJ and the whole thing, did it build up to where you are right now?
It did. It did. Like, I have to give a lot of credit to DJ, right? I wouldn't be like where I am, right? Because DJ gave us the opportunity to participate in this competition through which we got funding and all this, right? It's all what do you call, like one after other, right? So yeah, I think a lot of gratitude to DJ and a lot of people at DJ, right? Like including faculty members, like principals, all my friends at DJ, right? Right. So yeah, it all happens like one after the other.
Are you still in touch with your friends?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, we have this DJ ELX group, right? There are a lot of jokes which I can't share over here. Yeah.
Where do you see Neoperk in the future? What are your plans?
So, like right now, our focus sector is agriculture and agri-tech, right? The next couple of years, we want to scale our like soil testing as well as launch other products or solutions in agri itself, right? But probably in the by end of next year, we'll also start exploring other sectors, right? Like carbon credit space is like booming, right? And then there can be other applications of our technology. See, we at the end, like we are a technology company, right? So we do want to explore other use cases of our technology, but I think right now like next 2 years very much focused on agri tech, right? Probably third, fourth, fifth year start exploring other sectors like carbon can be one. Spectroscopy can be used in space tech as well, right? It can be used for like quality assessment, right? GIS and remote sensing. So like 3 to 5, right? We'll focus on that. Like the target is can we get to like 100 crores of revenue like annually like by 5 years, and after that like take it to a like 1,000 crore revenue making company over the next 10 years.
You spoke about the carbon thing. Can you tell us, for those of us who don't know about it, what is that?
So it's a very interesting space. I also don't know a lot about it, and I'm just getting to learn about it. So in the West, right? Like one way to like promote or like to finance sustainable projects or like ways in which we reduce emissions, right? Greenhouse gas emissions, right? So carbon credits came into picture. So let's say if you are reducing carbon, or you are either you are avoiding carbon or you are removing carbon. So in return you will get a carbon credit, right? Provided you register that project in one of the carbon exchanges. Okay, so you will get a credit for that. And somebody who's emitting carbon, like for example IC engine manufacturers, right? Internal combustion engine manufacturing companies, so they are emitting more carbon, right? So they need to buy carbon credit for from people like you, right? To offset their carbon, right? So because you are doing something which is which is avoiding carbon or reducing carbon, right? You are able to make money. So interesting fact, like Tesla makes a lot of profit through these carbon credits, right? Because it's a electric vehicle company, right? So they made a lot of money through made a lot of profit through actually carbon credits. The good thing about carbon credits is once your execution costs are done, right? Overheads are done, right? It's pure profit for you, right? You just have to sell it. Right. So what is happening? The current trend in India is there are a lot of carbon credit projects happening. Right. India itself doesn't has a carbon credit market exchange yet, but I have heard that it is going to be launched by 2027. Right. Currently, the carbon projects which happen, they get funded by mostly foreign investors, right? And the whatever credits are generated, they get sold to like mostly foreign entities, right? But once the Indian carbon exchange is live, right? So these projects can be like, and I think government will also make it mandatory, right, for people to like be net zero or anybody who is actually emitting more carbon, right? They need to procure this, they need to buy these carbon credits. So I see a lot of potential here, right? And the big part is we measure soil organic carbon, right? Any carbon project, especially related with agri, right? You need to measure soil organic carbon, right? Again and again to ensure to show that the carbon that you are capturing, right? It is getting stored in the soil and it is actually improving the soil organic carbon levels, right? It also has a very good impact. Like soil organic carbon is a direct indicator of soil fertility. It's like food for microorganisms, right? Good microorganisms. So yeah, I think it's a very big positive loop, right? If you like save the carbon into the soil, right, it improves soil health, it improves the productivity, right? It can even solve like some of the food security issues. So yep, very optimistic about this.
So sustainable tech is the future right now.
Yep, like green tech, I think it is already there, right?
Yeah. Okay. Of course, Neoperk might have some competitors in the market. How do you deal with competition?
I think competition is something you should keep an eye. You should have intelligence about competition or what they are doing, right? But you should never be scared of competition, right? The presence of competition is a big positive for you. It shows that there's a market out there, right? For you to take. But at the same time, right, it shouldn't be too competitive. Otherwise, you wouldn't have an edge, right? Like for example, soil, right? soil testing. Well, there are labs, there are like kits, there are different competitors out there, right? But we also know like nobody has been very successful here, right? Because it's so hard to achieve, right? If it is so hard to achieve, right, that then your chances of success are slightly higher. It's a kind of a contradiction, right?
Yeah.
Right. The harder it is, right, the better odds of success in terms of competition, right? But otherwise, like it's a hard problem, you have to solve it, right? Whoever does better or best, right, he will win.
A lot of startups in the early stages they pivot. What are your thoughts on pivoting?
Pivoting is not bad. Pivoting is all fine, right? But you should pivot based on insights, based on data, right? I'll give you an example. For the competition, right, for IIC DC, we were making a sensor which used to go inside the soil and continuously measure soil data, right, and give the results to the farmers. But when we started talking to the farmers, right, like a lot of these sensors are available outside of India, overseas. Like they have these type of sensors which go inside the soil, continuously measure data. But when we started talking to the farmers, right, the farmers told us that they only test their soil once or twice in a year because that's what government promoted earlier, right? It's also because of the limitation of labs, right? Like testing more frequently can be very expensive, right? Farmers only wanted to test their soil once a year and based on that get recommendations or advisory for the upcoming crop cycle. So we thought like, can we flip this? Instead of testing the soil again and again, can we test more number of samples in a very quick time, right? And give results to hundreds of farmers or thousands of farmers, right? So yeah, so it was a pivot in terms of I will say like usability, right? So pivoting is completely fine as long as there is a proper like insight or data or justification behind it, right?
Yeah. You mentioned the government policies and all that. So back when you started and now, how has India changed for the startup culture?
So the government is very supportive about the startup ecosystem, right? I think even in the current budget, they announced a 10,000 crore fund of funds. Although they wouldn't directly invest in startups, right? But they will invest in like AIFs or like VCs or organizations which will invest in startups. In fact, a lot of the grants that we received, right? We got the DST Department of Science and Technology grant, right? We got Ministry of IT and Electronics grant, right? So these grants, actually the funding agencies are government bodies which give it to the incubators and then the incubators invest in the startups. So I think the funding support from government is increasing like every day. On the other side, government is also launching this public infrastructures like UPI, right? Similarly, there are other public stacks, right, which are being built. So you can actually leverage one of these. I think ONDC is another one, right? You can leverage these and build products or solutions on top of it, right? And I don't think they charge you anything, right, for building on top of it. So that's a good way to start.
So I think we learned a lot from you over here. Thank you so much, sir, for being on ESL's podcast. We hope we stay connected with you so that we can get some mentorship from ESL's side and learned a lot from right from your journey, starting with Neoperk to govern policies and how to pivot, not to pivot, your competitors and all that. Thank you so much for being on ESL podcast. So guys, that's all from our side. See you next time.